Hey there, this is Athro. Welcome back to my Let's Play of the Testimony of Trixie Glimmer Smith. We left off trying to decide which form of delicious pastry we were going to eat. So let's see here. What do we want? Cake or donut? No, I prefer donuts, so let's go donut. I wanted a donut, but somehow got hurt in my own confusion and messed up. Cake. I jabbed a finger meekly at a random cupcake. One triple chocolate muffin coming right up. This wasn't going to plan. They picked up the muffin with some tongs and slid into a paper bag. Any other cake, drinks, or savories? A cheese bake, maybe? I'll get another muffin, please. Great choice. Belle was looking at me, munching on one of her rolls. She seemed amused by my inability to buy cakes. I don't think I've seen you around town before. What's your name, hon? Oh, I'm Trixie. Trixie Glimmer Smith. I only moved here a few months back. I don't get out much. Nice to meet you, Trixie. The name's Belle. She stepped forward with her arm outstretched, and I shook her hoof. It was really clunky and awkward, since she didn't have fingers. I hope this ain't too presumptuous, but if you're looking to make some friends here, you're always welcome to come down to the attic, Mouse. The bar is just round the corner. It's always nice to make some new pals, you know, especially if you're new to the area. I sometimes go out with Belle, but it's been too busy with the bakery recently. Everyone there's super nice, very gay too, so you be just yourself. I guess we're lucky to live in the queerest town in the country. I mean, not officially sure, but heck, you try finding someone here who isn't queer. They had a point. Everyone I met here was pretty fucking gay. Oh my god. Oh, thanks for the invite. I'm not too good with social stuff, though. Huh, that's fair. You're always welcome to come along, though, hon. Just thought it'd be nice to let you know there's somewhere you can go if you need it to, you know? I realized it was getting late, and I still had to walk back to the cottage. Crap, I gotta go. Sorry. I dropped some coins to the counter and ran out of the bakery. Hope I paid enough. I heard the pair say bye behind me. They both seemed kind of nice, albeit a little scary. I had to take a short break to recover from gorging on about 5,000 calories of muffin, but I eventually reached the abandoned cottage at the end of Daffodil Lane. I managed to pry the front door open with a crowbar, which was tough given my complete lack of muscle mass. Regardless, I got the door open and tossed the crowbar away. My weak little arms couldn't carry it anymore. Without waiting, I stepped through into the dingy portal. I was immediately hit by a wall of stale air and decay. Ugh! This place is disgusting. I flicked my torch on and finally realized I had no batteries. Frustrated, I chucked it on the floor. Litterbug. I had to rely on my eyesight, which was rapidly deteriorating since I started staying up until 5 a.m. using my laptop screen as my only light source. Not that it was great to begin with, given my condition. But the building was dim, and a few shafts of light piercing the boarded windows. And what looked like a base door was slightly ajar. A cold and unpleasant stench seemed to crawl from it. I wanted to spend as little time in this place as possible. I decided to take a look around the ground floor before heading downstairs. I stepped into what seemed to be the kitchen. Water dripped from the wooden ceiling into the sink, which was close to overflowing. Water was dark and still. A few tufts of wool floated in the surface, stained a dirty brown. A gross smell seeped up from the room into the room from the pantry. I carefully pried it open and was relieved not to find any dead bodies. Instead, I found a small garden's worth of decomposing grass melting in a pool of green, frothy liquid. Oh, gross. What? Who would keep grass in their pantry? I poked around the pantry, trying to uncover anything else that may be hidden. Very back, buried under some of the decaying grass, I found a ton of pineapple rings. The best before date was over 2 decades ago. Front depicted a happy pineapple mascot. Eat me, he said. Sorry, Happy Pineapple Abomination, but I don't think I should. Besides, I don't have a can opener. The bedroom was evidently plainly decorated years ago, but was now completely derelict. The bookshelf stood against one of the walls, but it was almost completely empty. The only books remaining were Manners for Girls and 7 Plants I Saw, an Adventure Story. I decided not to read them. Like the kitchen, the window here was been boarded up, though I noticed the planks seemed to have been taken from the bed's frames, given that the mattress slumped into the floor. A pile of tools on the floor looked like likely culprits for the renovations to this place's windows. I noted one of the tools was a sturdy crowbar. Ugh, I went through all that trouble getting a crowbar when I could have just broken in here and gotten one for free. Okay, someone didn't think through there. The tools looked old, but judging by the relative cleanliness, appeared to be used relatively recently. Next to the bed was a small dresser, and on top of that, a picture frame. I wiped the dust away from the photograph to reveal a woman probably in her 40s. The photograph itself had that old-fashioned faded look to it, and her hair looked very 80s. I guess this lady must have lived here before abandoning the cottage. Doesn't look like she probably packed when she left, though, given the load of her stuff seems to be here. There's a loud groan from upstairs. The settling of the cottage timber frame, I told myself. Regardless, it gave me a scare. This place has got me really on edge. Let's hurry up. The bathroom window was broken, and one of the boards seemed to have fallen off. A black feather was snagged in one of the nails, still left on the frame. The water tank was probably meant to be above the toilet, and fallen down, littering the floor with smashed ceramic shards and leaving a moldy damp patch spreading from the toilet's gutted remains. The bottom few inches of the bathtub were stained round, as if it had been full of rancid water for some time before being emptied. The plug hole was matted with wool, almost like a spider web. Ugh, this is nasty. What's wrong with this place? No wonder it smells like it. I was cut off as the house groaned as if settling. Only then did I realize how weak the floor seemed to be in this room, and stepped back. I had no intention of falling through to whatever waited for me in the basement. I returned to the living room, where I had first entered the house. I hadn't really looked around it when I first got here. It was totally trashed. The furniture was a mess. The floor was covered in junk, and some water appeared to drip down from the attic onto the sofa, which was coated in white mold. What looked like blood stained the floor and seeped into the musty sofa. It could be more than a month or two old. Ugh, this isn't good. Hopefully someone just had a minor accident, which made them lose about 4 liters of blood. It's old, though. I'm sure any murderer who lived here would have left ages ago. The smell probably drove them off. I stepped a little further into the room and almost tripped over something. A video game cartridge? Didn't look as dusty or decrepit as the rest of the house, and definitely wasn't old enough to be from the previous owners. Some brown hairs and white wool blocked the pins. Excuse me. And the image printed on the front was scratched, but still readable. Gunshoot 4. Nice, I really enjoyed Gunshoot 3. I decided to keep it. I figured it wasn't much use lying in this around this cottage, so I decided to take it with me. Maybe I could wind down with it when I got back to my room. On the ceiling, a small trapdoor led to the attic, but there didn't seem to be any way up. I only now noticed how the harsh carvings had been dug into the walls and inlaid with gold paint. Dozens of identical eyes had been watching me. I found myself drawn to them. The house suddenly shuddered, and I almost collapsed. I regained my footing. Thankfully, the house had remained standing. I turned away from the drawings, deciding to avoid them for now. There didn't seem to be much more to see on the ground floor, and I still hadn't found that book. No, there was only one thing for it. I'd have to go to the dark, dingy basement. I forced the door open on its rusty hinges and made my way down to the stone stairs. The decaying air grew worse with each step. God, this better not take long. The air of this place is probably cutting out years off my life. The stairs emerged to a large basement, almost as big as the entire ground floor. My eyes were immediately drawn to the horrific scene in the center of the room. What is this? Are those two skulls positioned around chipped remains of some kind of symbol etched into the floor? I'd better look around quickly. I really don't want to stay here much longer. After a closer examination, it was clear the skulls belonged to a pair of squirrels. Oh gosh! So much for La Rosa's Pacific cruise theory. These both seem adult-sized, though, which means the girl is missing. Hopefully I don't find her here. The skulls were undamaged, with no indication of how their owners may have died. Strangely, I don't recall having seen any of their bones around the cottage. I decided to leave them to their rest. Not that I'd be brave enough to do anything other than nervously stare at them from a distance anyway. With the most obvious thing in the room thoroughly examined, I took a look at the rest of the basement. This whole room looked like something from one of those trashy horror stories I'd read. It was uncanny. Part of me hoped it was just settling of really weird, really well decorated art, but I felt sure that it was wishful thinking. The basement was littered with black and white feathers. It looked like a bird had been in a fight, but with who? Probably the most out-of-place thing in this murder basement was the small collection of dry cake crumbs scattered across the floor. Despite there only being a slither of cake left, I felt myself tighten. A deep and primal part of me knew that it was a bad cake. I took a closer look at the symbol that was etched in the stone with some kind of tool and gilded with gold paint. It depicted one of the eyes I'd seen painted upstairs. It was no less unnerving here, especially given the rest of the room. I think it's time to get out of here. Okay, so I know so far it looks like I spent all week running errands and stuff, but trust me, I have my reasons, as I hope you'll soon agree. This is where things get a little hard to recall, but I'll do my best to the inherent of proving why I needed a few weeks extra to finish my coursework. Thanks for reading this far. By the way, faculty admin team, I appreciate it. Thanks. There was a loud screech, and the cottage above me started to shake and creak. I heard a long groan as the basement door shut. The cottage continued to shudder. I could hear furniture topple over and slam against walls above me. I need to get out of here! Before I could make a move, wisps of gold mist curled around the two skulls. They jerked around to face me, before lifting off the ground as if pulled by puppet strings. No! The floating bones remained motionless in the air, their eye sockets boring deep into me. Stolen release beyond. Betrayal, cloud, waves, Carcosa! The skulls called into my mind, rasping voice that felt as if it was coming from within my own thoughts. Upstairs the cottage continued to shake, the sound drowning out even my breathing, but the voice remained clear. The rabbit, betrayal, how, blue starlight, Carcosa! Carcosa, the dread city trapped forever under the red skies of the hiatus. The stolen crown jewel of the long-forgotten empire. The setting of the king in yellow, that much I knew. If the play was anywhere, it would be here, but that was hardly at the forefront of my mind at this point. The spire, broken body, Carcosa! What are you? I am the abomination, the malformed stock, the accursed meat, filthy, unclean. Trapped, Carcosa, the ashen streets, the dying slumber, beneath the lake, forever and yet free. Please, I don't mean to disturb you. My friend, maybe come here, she wants to play, the King in Yellow. At the mention of the King in Yellow, the skulls imploded with a loud crack. The eye sockets split, the craniums almost appeared to collapse in on themselves. I stumbled backwards, almost falling as shards of bone and tooth rattled into the stone floor. The cursed play, stolen, the monochrome prophet, the broken royal, they had it, stolen, a new owner for the play, found. Trapped, Carcosa, forever, and yet I walk again. We will meet again, small white rat. The skulls dropped to the floor with a loud crash. The golden glow dissipated as the room fell silent. I could feel myself toppling forward towards the cold floor as my mind disconnected. Well, this is interesting. My eyes slowly opened. A feeling of grogginess and nausea had taken over my body. I felt my mind spin. I could make out grass fluttering gently in the breeze. I looked up. A sheep gazed down at me as she chewed on some grass. As I stirred, she wandered off and let me be. I took some time to properly come to, but soon I realized I was currently in the sheep field on Daffodil Lane. The moon cast white rays across me, and I wondered how long I had been there. What happened? It was here I slowly started remembering my time in the cottage. The decaying rooms, the black and white feathers, the strange symbols, the blood, and the two skulls speaking into my mind fuzz. How much of that actually happened? My eyes slowly started to focus on the grass beside me. It was a box of some kind. Or was it? I squinted at it. Whatever it was wrapped in a shiny yellow skin. I reached a weak hand over to it and ran across the top of the box. My suspicion was confirmed. It was snakeskin. My hand curled around the back of the box and felt paper. It was a book. I grabbed it and pulled it up above my eyes where I could see it. Embossed in the black amongst the yellow scales, the title, The King in Yellow. I stared at the playbook. How had it gotten there? It was held shut by a golden ribbon, but it would take only a second to undo it. I started to reach for it, my fingers feeling the soft silk. Suddenly, a bird screeched a horrid caw. I jumped, almost dropping the book on my face. Far away, sat in a big jeweled tree, a strange, mangy-looking magpie stared at me. I thought of its feathers in the basement. It was hard to tell at this distance, but it seemed to be staring right at me, its wide eyes reflecting white moonlight like mirrors. I was about to shout over to it, but it took off and flapped away into the darkness of night. I lay in the field a while longer and watched the woolly sheep munch on the grass, the King in Yellow held tightly against my chest. Eventually, I managed to pull myself up and started a long trek back to my room. I messaged Nikita and told her to meet me in the morning. She was still awake, presumably working on her campaign. She seemed pretty set on retrieving the King in Yellow right then, but when I told her I wasn't going to get back out of bed, she begrudgingly agreed to wait. I shoved the plane in my bag and turned my phone off, eventually settling into a disturbed sleep. My dreams were dark and confused. I was helping at Greg's bakery, and the walls were decaying and moldy. Greg lifted the finished pastry from their tray and took a bite. They seemed to like it, but from the treat leaked kind of a trickle of red liquid. Greg looked at it, and then at me with wide, scared eyes. Blood began to leak out of Greg's mouth. I screamed in silence as it flooded the room and drowned us. A bright light pierced the congealed blood, and the bakery melted away into somewhere new. The scene collapsed into itself, and I stood in an abandoned basement. I saw myself as a skeleton, a golden glow surrounding me as I turned to dust and cackled maniacally. The horrible, dirty bird looked down at me from on top of a withered tree with branches like tangled thorns. It opened its beak to caw at me, but no sound came out. The bird broke into wisps of cloud vapor and dissolved into dark night. I looked down, and in my hands was the King in Yellow. The bird's call finally sounded, and I looked up. Where was once the tree was now a misty shoreline. In front of me was a spire of gleaming ivory, but before my eyes I saw it rot and decay. Behind the terrible city rose the great moon, mist dripped from it as it emerged from a lake of cloud. The black stars of the hiatus hung above me, pinpricks of oil in the red sky, washing me from across leagues of rolling white waves to a solitary figure of the King in Yellow. He seemed to travel towards me, closer and closer, as his tattered wrappings flapped in the wind. His long, bony arms stretched to remove the pallid mask, and I knew I had found myself on the path to a truly terrible fate. I woke up. It was 9 a.m., several hours earlier than I would normally wake up, but after that nightmare I was glad to be conscious. Nikita liked to tell me off for waking up late, so I assumed she wouldn't be expecting me to wake up for a few hours. My head still felt stuffy, so I decided to walk around the university grounds to get some air. It was a pleasant morning. A gentle wind blew softly on my weary eyes, a welcome break from the heat wave. Still, it seemed like it was going to be another warm summer day, unfortunate. It was the last thing I needed with my albinism. I'll have to put a lot of sun shampoo in my fur. The uni campus is really nice, being a little old-fashioned. I looked like somewhere that would be haunted, and actually was, albeit only by the occasional gaunt-looking PhD student. Not that I was complaining. Whether my experience in the basement was real or not, I had quite enough of ghosts for now. Oh god, Nikita is your future. Prepare for it. Oh my god. I walked past the old clock tower. I would have looked a lot more impressive if it wasn't broken. I don't know why you don't replace it with a digital one or something. Although, obviously, I'm aware that it isn't really a department. That wasn't an attack on you faculty admins. Below was an old statue of the university founder, P.H. Lovecroft. He was a specious dickhead, but now he's just dead. I stopped. I'd found one of Nikita's student presidency posters. It was pretty daunting, though on the plus side she changed her slogan to something slightly less fascist. Nikita is your future. Prepare for it. Although in retrospect that might have been worse. There was a box of leaflets unwritten. Nikita was certainly prepared for next year's election. It was almost a shame the caretakers would probably take the stuff down by next week. I kind of wanted to take a look at one of the leaflets, if just to find out what morbid curiosity. Let's see. Take a look to sate my masochistic side. Bluebell University Student Union Presidency Election 2019. Nikita, a manifesto for a stronger world. Bluebell University, once the 9th highest rated university in the country, now a decaying and ruined institution sitting by a lowly 11th. Its student body has become lazy, undisciplined, and led astray by bad leadership, poor faculty, poor facilities, and social societies. But I shall change this. I shall make us strong. Who am I? I am Nikita. I am the top student at the Regional History and Culture Studies course here at the prestigious university. I shall one day be our greatest student union president. This, fellow students, is my promise to you. My enemy candidates may be many, but I assure you, among them my equals are none. Tabitha Knight especially is a try-hard bitch and will not save us from our collapse. My 5-point plan for a stronger world. The library must be expanded and opened eternally, so that our minds may expand. Only through knowledge can we take our rightful place in the world. 2. Too much of the university's budget is spent on frivolous activities, parties, societies, and trips to name but a few. This must be diverted into improve our facilities. 3. The union has many worthless delegates, the sports officer, the societies officer, and the administrative team, among others. These positions should be dissolved. All power must flow to the executive. 4. The student union president should be made a permanent position, lest future presidents veer from my vision and lead us back to the abyss. 5. We need to fix the vending machine outside Wilbur Hall. It no longer properly dispenses toffee millet bars. Thank you for your time, and remember, a vote for my enemies is a vote for your own destruction. Jeez, Nikita has issues. I tossed the leaflet back in his box. I eventually got back to my room and took a quick shower, making sure to cover myself in sun shampoo. I was really lucky not to get burnt yesterday, given how long I was out. Maybe the spores from that cottage rejuvenated skin and left a healthy glow on your fur. Though, looking at my gaunt, tired face in the mirror, I doubted it. I finally got around to cleaning the cereal spill yesterday. Better late than never, I guess. I ended up just fucking around my laptop to keep my mind off things while I waited for Nikita. There was a sudden knock on my door. Trixie Glimmersmith! Stop writing weird monster erotica and open up! I slammed my laptop shut. I still don't know if she was spying on me or if I was just a lucky guess. Coming! I threw some old underwear behind my bed in a vain attempt to seem less disgusting and lurched to my door. I opened it up and Nikita marched in the room, almost knocking me over. Jeez. Hi, Nikita. You have the book? Nice to see you, too. Cut the crap, Trixie. Where's the play? Fine, whatever. But look, we need to talk about some stuff, okay? Some weird shit happened when I was finding this. I rushed from back for the book, eventually pulling out the scaled yellow tome. Wow. It's really real. For once, Nikita seemed almost speechless. She walked over to me, seemingly unable to wait to get a hold of it. I handed it over, but part of me wanted to keep it for myself, if just for its value. Nikita was about to undo the ribbon and leaf through pages, but I had put my hand on it, stopping her. She shot me an angry look and almost pulled away. Nikita, seriously, we need to talk. I told her everything I remembered about yesterday, my time exploring Daffodil Lane, the missing squirrels, the abandoned cottage, the skulls, the ghost, waking up in a field. I told her I didn't know where the play had come from. Nikita, I think we need to talk about something. The police, maybe. There were skulls in that basement. This is just some silly thing. Trixie, those skulls were obviously props. You said yourself there's an artist on that road. They always do weird shit like that. And no offense, but the options here are either 1. You saw a ghost. Or 2. You, the person who reads ghost porn all day, were sleep deprived, dehydrated, overheating, and breathing mold spores, and imagined a ghost where you saw some spooky props. Then, you forgot half the day and fainted in a field after finding a planet cottage. It was a good point, but I still felt unsure. I'm gonna be the good person here. Call the police anyway. No, shut up, Nikita. There were real skulls in that place. I'm phoning the police. I just won't mention the weird stuff. This is serious. This is more important than some dumb story. Nikita's lips visibly curled when I described the King in Yellow as a dumb story. Fine, whatever. Phone the police. But when you get arrested for breaking and entering, don't cry to me on the phone from your jail cell. I was pretty certain she was bluffing. I wouldn't get in trouble for that, right? I dialed the number for the police on my phone, and after a brief wait, the operator picked up. Hi, yes, I'd like to report a suspicious house on Daffodil Lane. The creepy one, yeah, by the woods. Uh-huh, right. I mean, there were skulls in it. Yeah? No, skulls. I saw some blood too? What, seriously? Of course you have the budget to investigate it. You're like the police. Might be important. What about those missing squirrels that live literally 50 feet away? Uh-huh. Right. See, this is when no one likes the police. Oh, they hung up. I looked back at Nikita. Her expression was sour, as it had been when I started. But she seemed significantly smugger. Apparently they don't have the budget to investigate the squirrels, and they wrote about the abandoned cottage off because no one could live in a place with air that full of hallucinogenic spores. I paused for a moment, considering I could explain the ghost. Which doesn't make me feel great about breathing it in for so long yesterday. There, I told you this was pointless. Now just keep to yourself and I'll help you with your coursework again. Once I finish reading the play, naturally. Is that a deal, Smith? It felt wrong for not trying harder to get the police to check out that cottage. I knew it was selfish of me to ignore what might have been a huge deal, but I needed Nikita's help. I couldn't face the idea of going back to my parents after fucking up my education and not talking to them for months. I let an audible sigh. Whatever, as long as we're even now. Of course we are. I never lie. Wasn't sure I believe that. Well, I'm off to read this. I do appreciate your service, Trixie, as much as I hate to admit it. I'll draft your coursework for you in a day or two. You have to finish yourself, though. I'm not your mother. Nikita was being uncaring, which was nice. Maybe she was warming to me? Anyway, you should get some sleep. You look like shit. Or not. I thought as Nikita marched out of my room. The key in yellow clutched tightly against her chest. Thanks, Nikita. I stumbled back to my bed. Nikita was exhausting. A buzzing woke me a few hours later. Someone was calling me. I was groggy and confused, so no different to normal. I reached for my phone and through my blurry eyes I could make out Heidi's name on the screen. Hey, you owe me a job! I stopped when a bit of drool fell from my mouth. I've never been good with naps. I need you to come to my shop, at 5 today. Don't bug out now, you owe me for that crowbar, remember? I did owe her. It wasn't like I had anything else to do. Besides, it would be good to get outside and distract myself for a while, even if I should be working on my report. Okay, I'll help. Good, my shop at 7. Don't be late, I have a taser. Wait, okay? What's so rude to me? Curled back up in bed, I was still pretty tired. I had half a day to kill until Heidi needed me, and I didn't want to sit here stewing in my own thoughts all day. Yesterday had fucked me up pretty badly, whether I wanted to show it or not. I found a coupon for a free bottle of sugar rabies in my sock. I talked to her a few weeks back, so I figured I'd had nothing else to do, I'd head to town and use it. Anyway, the shopkeeper let slip the only reason that Sugar Corp was giving the stuff away for free was because anyone who drank a can lost an average of 3 teeth. So there was no one way but... Okay, that's a typo. No one was buying it anymore. I guess we were hoping people would risk a bottle for free and end up hooked as dubiously legal chemicals. I knew better than to wrangle with that since I didn't have that many teeth, being a rat and all. Fucking capitalists. My phone clock said it was almost midday and I really hadn't eaten yet. I figured I'd combine breakfast and lunch. That's what I call a new meal lunchfast. My thoughts were cut off when a familiar figure tapped on the window next to me. I recognized Greg, the small sugar glider from yesterday. I wandered past their bakery without realizing it. I guess my subconscious was telling me to get lunchfast at Greg's. Hi Greg. Hey Trixie! Are you here for some tasty treats? Yeah, I guess so. I looked around the selection. The triple chocolate muffin I ate yesterday had been really nice. I did kind of want to try something new, though. Let's not get diabetes. Hey, vegetable would be nice. I need to keep my eye on my sugar intake. All my vegetables come with a triple chocolate muffin just for... Yes! Greg scurried back behind the counter and placed the food in a little paper bag. Fortunately, I'd remembered to bring my wallet today. It's nice to see you again. Sorry the bakery's so busy yesterday. I could see it and was making you anxious. It's a lot calmer today. The fact that 2 customers were considered busy made me feel slightly bad for Greg. Was the bakery not doing well? Oh, no problem. Sorry for being weird yesterday. It was kind of hot and I'd already fainted once, and like, I get anxious about buying stuff. Greg laughed sympathetically. Oh no! I hope you're feeling better today. Here, have a bottle of water on the house. That should stop you fainting again. I felt bad accepting something for free given my suspicions about Greg's financial situation. Oh no, that's okay. I'll live. No hiking in the sun for me today. Okay, well, the offer's there. I wouldn't want any of my friends fainting. Their friendliness almost reminded me of Parsnip, though thankfully Greg seemed to be capable of conversations that had an actual personality. You seem like you like the cakes, Trixie. Do you bake any yourself? I shook my head. I don't really do much baking, or cooking in general, really. I basically just eat snacks and drink energy drinks. I probably have like 4 years left to live. Oh no, I hope not. They giggled. Don't you like cooking? I don't mind cooking, but like, I kind of have a short attention span, so my food usually ends up burnt. That was a slight understatement. The fire brigade had been called twice since I started uni, thanks to me. I used to make bread with my parents when I was younger, but we just kind of stopped at some point when I got older. Oh, that's so sad. I used to bake with my dad a lot. It was really fun. It's probably why I ended up being a baker. You know, I could always use some help here. I could teach you to bake treats. It's a really kind offer. I did want to learn baking, even if it was just another way to fuel my sugar addiction. Oh, geez, that's really kind. I feel like I'd just waste your time, though. I'm a bit of a fuck-up, and you probably don't need that when you're already having money trouble. I trailed off. Greg just seemed to see where I was going. I was worried I'd upset them, but they seemed to try to hide it. If you don't feel up to it, don't worry. I know tomorrow morning probably won't be a very busy day, though, so feel free to come along if you change your mind. I did like the idea, and Greg was really sweet. Thanks, Greg. I'll think about it. Sorry, I'm kind of a mess right now. It's been a tough few days. Weeks. Years. No worries. Just let me know if you're coming along. Would you like my number? I'd talk some more, but I have to make a delivery in a few minutes. They motioned toward a wedding cake, a lovely icing statue of 2 cute mice girls kissing sat on top. Oh, sure, yeah. Greg passed me a business card. Great, thanks, Trixie. I better close up. I'll see you soon. See you, Greg. I waved goodbye and left the bakery munching on my food. I expected Belle would be at the Attic Mouse bar down the road, and I figured I might as well give her a visit to waste some time before I met Heidi later, if just to show I wasn't ignoring her offer. The Attic Mouse had a warm and friendly atmosphere, and I was relieved to see the drinks were super cheap. By bar standards, at least. I walked inside and found it was pretty quiet, understandable really given the time of the day. Belle sat in a corner by herself and some glass of alcohol in front of her. I'm not really into alcohol, so I dropped 10 on the bar to pay for my pint of cola and walked over to her. Hey! Hey, Trixie. Nice to see you came along. Sadly, no one else has. Ah, well, we pre-ordered the drinks, so more for me, I guess. She downed one of her shots. Oh, I mean, I'm not good with scripts anyway. Do a lot of people usually show up? Well, there's Greg, who you met. My pal, LaRose, and not us down Daffodil Lane way. Wait, I know LaRose, the tall rabbit, right? Huh, no way. Nice lady. She hasn't turned up recently, though. She's, well, she ain't been feeling great recently. It's hard for her to find the energy to hang out, you know. There's also Heidi. She's cool. A little scary, but a great gal. She runs a shop here in town. Yeah, I met her yesterday, too. She's more than a little scary, though. She's all bark and no bite. Doesn't get along so well with LaRose. They almost ended up glassing each other a few weeks back when Heidi said neo-punk biker art was better than neo-punk bohemian art. I don't know what either of those are, so I didn't think it was my place to mediate, yeah? Jeez. It's weird how I met literally all of you by chance yesterday. Almost too weird, I thought. Yeah, that is weird. I know we all know each other, and now we all know you too. Took another sip for a drink, I copied her and sipped my cola. I felt a little awkward and just ended up staring at the TV in the corner for a bit. The Prime Minister was giving a speech about shipsick. I rolled my eyes and was getting pretty tired of hearing about non-stop the last 2 years. This is getting ridiculous. leaving the Northwest Union just because his official sheep mascot bit the Prime Minister's 4-year-old. So petty. Exactly. If she didn't want her kid getting bit, she shouldn't have let her roll around in the grass and go pet a sheep. We both shook our heads and tutted. So you're like a milkwoman, right? That sounds kind of fun, driving around and seeing places all over. I don't get out much, so... Nah, it sucks. Oh. Not much traveling either way, anymore, I'm afraid. Oh, of course not. You were talking to Greg yesterday. You said you only go to North Acres now, right? North Acres. Yeah. Nasty place. Why? She squinted at me quizzically. Oh, it's just like I studied local history and stuff. North Acres is meant to be really good for the right. It's kind of old-fashioned and remote, despite only being a few miles from town. I really want to take a look around there, but it's kind of hard to get to. I can't find any buses that go that way, and no way am I paying for a taxi. Huh? Yeah, they shoot down every proposed bus route. I think that might be the only outside interaction they get besides the postman. They're a weird lot. I try not to spend too much time there. She shrugged and took another drink. But hey, if you want to have a peep around there, you're welcome to come along tomorrow morning. Oh wow, I mean, if it isn't an issue? Not at all. I could use the company. Not much to do with the job, and the boss says if you catch me read magazines at the wheel again, he'll fire me. Belle's phone buzzed. She took a look at it and sighed. Huh, speaking of the great dictator. I gotta get going. Apparently the sheep have escaped from Daffodil Lane. Probably that kid opening the gate because it looked sad being closed again. She shook her head and downed the rest of her drink. I suspect I knew who she was talking about. Oh no. I better stick around. I still have stuff to do in town. Well, feel free to shoot me a message tomorrow morning if you feel up to a really dull adventure. She chuckled and added her number to my phone. Wow, everyone really wants to hang out with me. If this were a lame dating game, I'd assume they want to get in my pants. Fortunately, I keep my life very PG. I wasn't sure how much I believed, given the recent events, but slight hope nothing involving Nikita and her stupid play would escalate beyond comic mischief and some rude language was reassuring. I don't plan on video games to get that joke, but haha, sure. I hadn't meant to say that out loud. Anyway, I better get going. See you around, Trix. She strolled off as calm as ever. I finished my drink and sat around a while. Glad today had been full of distractions. I still wasn't ready to think about yesterday's events. Eventually, I knew it was time to head to Heidi's. I didn't want to be late. She apparently had a taser. Okay, we're going to stop here before we get to Heidi's and cut for this episode. I'll see everybody right here next time on the testimony of Trixie Glimmersmith.